Okay. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Here comes Bruce. And here comes Jennifer. All right. So I think we are in week 5. And we just read chapter 4. So the anchoring code. Oh, look at Kitty. Thank you for joining us. All right, so let me invite everyone to turn within for a moment so we can pray in, and then we'll get started. So as we close our eyes, let's take a deep breath in and exhale. And with that exhale, we release the activities that have come before us this day, allowing our shoulders to relax. We bring our awareness down from the mind into the heart. And each time that we return to this sacred space, we are welcomed in a field of divine, unconditional love, reminded that we are its beloved, in whom it is well pleased. So we allow this love to wash over us, to wash over the mind, the body, the heart, the soul. And so how grateful and thankful I am to be here in this now moment, to be gathered here in this way, for I know that where 2 or more are gathered, this presence that we call God, Spirit, life, the universe, it's known by so many names. It gets amplified in such a way that it ripples out from the center of our beingness through our life experiences onto the screen. This movie that is playing, that is our bus stop. Rearranging circumstances, shining a light upon the path, speaking to us, guiding us as a still small voice, as the insights, as the ideas, as the spark of inspiration. For truly, this presence is the only thing that's ever taking place. It is the one eternal activity that expresses in the seen and the unseen, permeating all space. For there is no place where this presence is not. Such a place does not exist. It is omnipresent. It is omniscient, all-knowing, the divine intelligence that maintains the order throughout all of existence, from the birthing of planets, stars, galaxies, to the sprouting of seeds, the tides in the ocean, the growth of the hair on our heads. It oversees all of creation. And to know that there's nothing other than, nothing outside of, for it is the source of all of life. So it's easy to recognize it is the one true power, the one power, the one presence, the one mind, the one life that is eternal, that has no beginning, that has no end, and that expresses and experiences itself through all of creation. For it is what does the seeing from behind our eyes, what does the speaking through our lips. It is the very life force that pours into our systems, animates our bodies, beats our hearts. It is the very breath that is breathing us. And so we breathe this breath of spirit in deeply, allowing it to saturate us from the inside out, to infuse us with its love and its divine intelligence. And we lean into our oneness with this presence, allowing it to go before us, making the crooked way straight. And so I'm blessing our time together here in this class, thankful for this sacred container of love, of guidance, of wisdom, of grace and peace. As we open up our hearts, our minds, and our arms to receive all that gets to pour into this container, knowing that the divine guidance comes through in ways that we each recognize, understand, sense, and feel. For we truly are being cheered on by this presence that is all loving, by the angelic realm, the spirit guides, our ancestors, to know that we truly have a divine counsel that is cheering each one of us on in our unfoldment, in our remembering of our higher self and the perfection, the wholeness, and the completeness in which we were created. And so I give thanks in advance for all that gets shared here tonight, all that is heard, all that gets to be embraced, and all that gets to be released, and knowing that it occurs within this field of absolute love, ease, and grace. Knowing it is already so in the heart of God, I release this word to its loving law by saying, and so it is. Amen. Welcome. Yay. Okay. Yes, absolutely, Chimpy. Thank you guys so much for being here. It's so nice to see your beautiful faces. Welcome. So let's dive in, because chapter 4 seemed small, but then when I started like reviewing it, it's packed, jam-packed with information. But before we do that, did everybody get the invitation to join the support group on Facebook? And if not, let me know so that I can get you or I didn't realize that the invitation would expire. So if anybody needs it, didn't make it in time, let me know and I'll send it to you. All right. Does anybody have any shares that they want to share with us? Did anything happen during the week? Were you able to implement a practice and you noticed that you handled something differently, or it unfolded more gracefully than it usually would? Anything that you would like to share based on your experiences? Kara.
Hi. I had a difficult week.
Okay.
So and it was related to what I was bringing up last week. It was related to relationships. And so one, I went like consciously just kept going back to love, because, I wanted to argue. I wanted to fight for like understanding. And I was like, okay, like the balance, the self-love, the relationship love. And I use this central channel breathing. There were times that I was like too wrapped up to do it, but I always got there. And that was really helpful. And just, coming back to love. And, service this weekend and your prayer this morning was like perfect. It was just divine. So, and I listened to it late, but I was like, oh, great, this is great. So thank you. I found it to be a guiding question, like, okay, or mantra almost, like, okay, where's the love? So it was very helpful.
Oh my gosh, thank you for sharing that. It's true, right? When we allow love to be what matters most, it'll interrupt the momentum of the anger and the frustration. Hopefully it just at least causes enough of a pause for there to be the opportunity for something more close to love to show up. So that's awesome. Dr. Sue says that when we start working with Mula Bandha, that people have said that they have a harder time staying in upset when they do that, because it brings all of your attention here into your core. And usually our upset happens out there, right? Something out there triggered me. So we're going to be going over the practices of the anchoring code. So there's going to be an exercise in here called subject, object, subject, Kara, which I used a lot in my earlier years with Jesse to keep myself from going off on him. because it wasn't his fault. The stuff was already here. Nikki.
Hello. I have to agree with Kara. The prayer this morning was just divine timing and everything falling into place. So, wow, this chapter was something. I have been really practicing a lot and just keep practicing more and more the central channel breathing. And I thought it was really interesting because while I was sleeping last night, early this morning, like I ended up waking myself up. I must have been doing it automatically in my sleep.
That happens.
Okay, I didn't know if I was just losing my mind, but like I noticed, I like started waking up and I noticed myself going through the process of it all. And I think it's helpful because I think too, well, let me back up. So the other thing is I had been practicing so much that I noticed yesterday too, like something that would typically trigger me and make me emotionally or sad or tearful, like that didn't happen. I was almost like viewing it from a different perspective. So that was really cool. And then I had that, and then usually when I do a lot of this work, like a lot comes out through my dreams and a lot starts releasing. And I usually get, I don't know, kind of shook when I wake up in the morning. But this morning, like, I don't even know what time it was. I woke up and I just found myself automatically doing it. So that was wild. That was just a really wild experience. And I just find that I'm finding myself more centered and actually starting to see and feel and know myself as this energetic being, not this human body. So I find that is just fascinating. And it's enhancing my time, like, because I'm doing that when I do energy work with my clients. And I'm finding that just being in that energetic field in this way is like enhancing sessions for them and they're happy. So I'm just like, it's a win-win all the way around. So it's pretty cool. And it's kind of funny. So I actually started tabbing like areas in my book and underlining. This is the first book I'm finding. It's like a textbook in energy. And I'm like, so like refascinated with energy work again, after all these years that I'm like turning it into a study again. So thank you.
Isn't it nice to return almost to like beginner's mind with something that you're passionate about?
And I almost gave myself permission. So that was the other aha moment I had this evening at my office when I finished working with a client and I'm like typing up a note from like what I observed, right? And so it was like, I've been doing energy work for like 10 years, right? And like, it's almost like I was in the closet with it, even though I have a practice and a business out there. It's almost like I got comfortable talking about it, but I still didn't let everybody know. And something triggered, like released where I'm like seeing the validity of it all. Like I almost had to prove it in my mind, that it is a real thing and it works and it helps people and supports people. I'm not just some woo-woo girl out there who is just doing this thing in this office, right? So it just, and I've seen it for years, how I've helped people with anxiety and depression and stuff, which is awesome because I do come from a mental health field. So, and I just love the non-invasive work and I love how we can just move out of the way and let something else help us, and it is us. It's not even, and it's us, right? It's like we get to take the power back into our hands, if you will.
So. I love that. Thank you, Nikki. Yeah, I have been dealing with like a pain that was going from the back of my neck down my hand, and it was horrible for like 2 weeks straight. And I've been working with Jennifer and then with Dr. Lori and a chiropractor. And I like what you said, allowing ourselves to be helped and supported, right? And I want to say that it's like at 90% better. So thank you for that. Yes, it does work, right? They wanted to already schedule surgery. And I'm like, no. Lisa.
Hello, everybody. I had interesting. One was my health. I'm fine, by the way. The levels were okay, he said, and for lead paint, and but I was feeling that pain, the pain in the neck going down the arm. What, why does everybody have that right now? What's going on? Wait. And so I, I've been doing the breathing and everything like that, but then something happened really intense. I got disrespected again by a family member, and I reacted a little bit, but not a lot. And it just ended. And I really went in and I looked at me. I didn't go mentally about the other person, get angry, get mad, all that kind of stuff. I immediately went within and started asking the right questions, right? But what I found out was that to sit with my emotions, found out how I felt after that, because the phone got hung up, hung up the phone in your face, And so that's disrespectful. So I wrote down all the things that I felt, and then I chose my intentions, what I wanted from it. And then it made me look at, what do I want to do about it regarding me,
Yes.
not the other person.
Mhm.
And I start allowing the other person, releasing them more and more mentally and emotionally, allowing them to be them. If that's how they do, then, but we're going to do something for Lisa,
Yes.
because we're going to set the boundary, take a break, take some space, whatever. I haven't decided yet, but I'm, praying about it. And I'm going to take care of me. Doesn't matter what the other person does. I'm going to take care of me and do what I need to do regarding the situation. So I thought that was really a lot of spiritual maturity.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
One of the questions I would ask myself when some of the characters in my movie were still being super difficult, if this individual never changes, what do I need to do to be okay?
Right. Okay.
Right. If this situation doesn't change, or this person does not change, what do I need to be okay? And we know that we're actually striving for more than just okay. We're actually striving for joyous, peaceful, right?
So what
So,
do I need to do?
right, for you to, okay, that's
Okay.
the question. What do you need to give yourself?
Oh.
Right. You're right. It has nothing to do with them and everything to do with you. And usually the moment that you and I turn our attention inward this way, we take our eyeballs off of them and turn them this way. And then we move through this, then they stop acting that way, because you and I are mastering taking care of us.
I felt empowered too. I felt a lot more empowered over my emotions too. They weren't so all over the place, and I felt in control, and I felt confident.
Beautiful.
Yep.
Beautiful.
So thank you.
And I'm so glad you're feeling better.
Thank you. Yeah, that was a little scare, but yeah.
All right, Jennifer.
Yeah, for me, the chapter came right on time. Yesterday I was having a little bit of difficult time because it was the anniversary of my boyfriend's passing 4 years ago. And I started, I got into my head for a minute, and it was all these different questions were coming up, and I started crying. And I said to myself, I knew better than to stay in my head that way. But I read the chapter last night after the fact, and it was that reminder again that we can't just live in our head.
Yeah.
And to remain in the heart. So it kind of gave me that reminder to always drop down into my heart again. And then this morning too, was after I was done with your energy work, I was going to text you. And then the prayer group started, and I was like, I had this nudge, like, oh, just go straight into the prayer group, and there you were. So it was all, I knew it was divine timing. So I'm just grateful and thankful. I wanted to say that.
Oh, beautiful. Yeah, it becomes too painful to continue to live up here. And there's just something so soothing when we drop these 18 inches into the heart. Right? And allowing this to function as our primary brain, as well as our belly, right? Accessing like dropping into the heart and dropping into the belly to feel our way into our choices. Like, does this feel correct? Is this a yes, a no? Because this thing feels like a hamster wheel to me. Beautiful. Thank you, Jen.
It was crazy because I live in New York City, so I was literally talking to myself while I was walking the dog and saying, why are you in your head asking yourself these questions when you know it wouldn't change anything? So I'm glad I live in New York City because no one was looking at me like I was nuts or anything.
I know Jesse catches me talking to myself all the time, and I'm like, why are you eavesdropping? Leave me alone.
I do it too. I do it too. I don't care. I work it out. That's what I'm doing. I'm working.
Oh, thank you. Chimpy.
Hi, everyone.
Oh, you just remuted.
My gosh, I just turned into my mom. Hi, everyone. Thank you for, look, I'm so used to talking to my team. Hi, everyone. Thanks for being here. How's it? Okay. Woo! So I'm going to bring it together. Anyway, this has been revolutionary for me. I am so ready for this. Where'd she go?
Okay.
You all shuffled. Stop. I was so ready for this, and I knew I was ready for it. And so I am energized, but not in a jazz sort of way. Like, I'm plugged in, and the circuits are lining up. That's what it is. And I'm becoming so just like if you were stepping on a rock, you'd be like, ow, and you'd move your foot. I am becoming conscious of the wobble, and it's like, and so I'll be in a room and I'll be sitting there. I was in a meeting the first day back from spring break, and I was in a room, and it was all the admin, 18 type A, high energy, good people, but I mean, and I walked in there and I started to be like, I don't know, like in this defensive mode and make sure you're okay. And I could feel the wobble, and I just kind of lined it up, and I was like, everything in here you chose, and it's for you. I don't even know that I said that. I don't even know that I got in here. I think I just lined it up, and I was just like, yeah. And I just let the flow happen. And I was like, we're all just light. And that'll just come into me. I'll be sitting somewhere and I'll be like, girl, just like, I can see right through you. Oh my God. And I'm just like freaked. I'm like, Jennifer, I live in California. So again, no big deal. No one cares. They're all like, namaste, we've been there. So that's awesome. It feels like I have discovered, I keep talking to people that aren't in the class or that aren't, practicing this particular language, but are in the same kind of flow. My husband, there you did it again. Okay. And so it's awesome. Keep you on your toes. Energy codes, not for people laid back. You got to be active. But my husband, and I was explaining to him, I go, it's like if you discovered you had legs, fully functioning legs, and you're like, oh, we're so stupid, I haven't been using these. It's so much easier when I use these to get around. That's how I feel. And I'm like, and I'm just figuring it out. I go, but it's there. I mean, there's this whole other layer of stuff that's there that I can use. I hate the word. I don't know if I do. I don't like the word use for some reason, but that is like just I would use my hands, and I'm learning how to feel them, see them, and use them. And it's just really cool. And I feel like this is the next evolution. And of course it is, because on TikTok, that one guy said, this is all that stuff you've been doing. This is the time. So it wouldn't have been on my For You page. He told me, if this is for you.
Yeah.
Right. That's all. I'm enjoying myself. This is a lot of fun. And I feel a little bruja-y, which I like. I'm around there going, never line that energy up. You know, and I'm doing like stupid, I'm like pretending to have wands in my hand. And people don't know. I'm just doing, only you guys. But if you see me walking around doing crap, she thinks she's a magician over there. She thinks she's aligning. But I am doing it. I literally have this thing, I go, oh. And I have friends now doing it. It's like, are you lining up energy? I go, yeah, you're welcome. They're like, thank you. That's at work. They go, did you just line up energy? I go, I did.
Oh my God, Chippy, I love it, right? So imagine, like, you know, more everybody that learns about this goes into all of those environments and they start to affect the energy, right? Reverend Michael said it a long time ago. He said, be the thermostat that sets the temperature, right?
Well, and here's the thing. I can't speak for any of them.
Mhm.
And that's a relief for me because I really tried to for several years. I wanted to love them all enough for them to love themselves. Anyone, I mean, if you're in my path, you know, and I wanted to care. But my temperature is, I'm learning my temp, and I'm keeping, and that does seem to, you know, of course, if you put a hot rock in the middle of something, it's going to warm other things up.
Yeah.
Right. So yeah, energy is energy. We're all light.
Right.
That'll
And
put you in a fugue state in the middle of a board meeting talking about finances, and all of a sudden you're like, we're all light. I'm like,
but it's true, our toric field is 40 feet in diameter. So they feel you before you even enter the room.
whether they know it or not. I feel me, even, and I feel that room even before I get in there. And
Yeah.
so I'm able to just be like flowy, and, you know, I don't need any of them to do anything. I got this. It's because we're all here together. We're just light. Plenty of room for all the light.
Right? I love it. Live and let live. While you work this channel. You work this. Beautiful. Becky. And Becky, let me say that I'm sorry for your loss. Where did you go? Did she click the wrong button? She disappeared. Oh, there she is. Okay. You moved. Okay. You're muted.
Were you talking to me?
Yes, I was just.
Oh, okay. I was gone. I didn't hear you call my name. Yeah, I lost my internet access there for a second. Yeah, so this has been a really incredible journey for me, actually. Just the central channel breathing has really, I don't know, it's just been, I'm just having all these realizations. But one thing that happened this week that was really, I think as everyone was talking, I was like, oh yeah, that's why that happened. But my mom got sick, and I've always had a very difficult relationship with my mother. I get frustrated when she's sick all the time. I mean, some of it I have felt has been, you know, she's a little bit of a hypochondriac, and so I just find myself getting irritated. But she got really sick, and she's up in Boise, and, you know, she ended up in the hospital. And then, you know, I found out it was actually very serious. It was more serious than we expected. And she went into surgery, and she's frail, she's old. And so I flew up there this week. That's why I wasn't in class last week, but I flew up there. And the whole way there, I was focused on my own feelings, like just releasing the feelings, like the knots in my stomach, and just focusing on, you know, the central channel breathing, but just using that to help me release some of the angst that I felt in seeing her. You know, how am I going to feel when I see her? I haven't seen her in a while. And, you know, when I walked into the room, I just felt so much compassion for her. Like, it was just this, I can't even explain how much compassion I felt. And that's new. Like, that's just new. I mean, just I felt like I was healed. And she was so loving, and like, you know, my mom has never been that way. I mean, I remember as a little girl, my mom being very loving and nurturing, and I can think back and know that something broke her at some point, because something happened to her, and she became this different person as I got older. But when I walked into the room, she was different too.
Wow.
You know, she was very loving. She just told me she loved me, and she held my hand. And I actually, that when I went to I had to come home yesterday. They put her on hospice, but I stopped by the hospital to say goodbye to her, because I don't know how much time she has, but I had to come home. And so it was kind of like, well, I'll come home and I'll do what I have to do. And if I have to go back, I'll go back. But so my sister's there, but I stopped by the hospital and I said, I have to go. And I held her hand and I started I just got very emotional. I just felt so much love for her and so much compassion. And I told her I loved her, which is huge, which I haven't done in a long time. So yeah, it was really, I felt very healed, and I think she did too. But I think, I attribute it to the fact that I'm focused on my own energy, cleaning that up, making sure that there's no blockages,
Yes.
So.
Oh my God, Becky, thank you so much for that share. And I do believe there was a tremendous healing for you both.
Yeah. I felt like I released so much because I cried all the way home, like all the way to the airport, like even in the airplane, like I could just feel the releases coming.
Mhm.
And, the tears, and I felt like it was healthy tears. It wasn't just sad. It was healthy, cleansing tears.
I
So,
think when we access parts of ourselves that had not been available previously, I think that also adds to the tears.
yeah, that sounds about right. Because it felt like, oh, this is the mother that I remember when I was little. And I could have compassion for her because I know things happened to her. I know she's had trauma in her life that turned her into a different person, and something has happened in her. I don't know why she's different. But she's different. She was different. So I don't know if me changing my energy affected her.
When we allow love to be what matters most, these people that have been a certain way for so many years cease to behave the way we have known them.
Yeah.
Chippy was talking about magic wands. I really think this is magical.
Yeah, it almost is like that. And just the bond between my siblings and I, even though we're adults, it was just so good. I mean, it was just a whole family healing session, I guess.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Thank you, Becky. Ebony.
Hello. So this week it's been great. Like everything feels effortless. Like just in flow and not forcing or resisting. I really have been focusing more on the feelings in my body, because I know in the book, Dr. Sue says that we're so much outside our body, so you can't even feel the vibrations. So I've been really trying to focus on that. And one of the things that happen is I'm training to become a bar teaching instructor, and I submitted my final video, and I got the feedback that, I'm not there yet. And instantly I felt like my throat, like tightening up, and so I went into like central channel breathing, and I realized that it wasn't about the bar, but it brought me back to when I was younger. My parents or my father was so strict. So if I didn't get a good grade in school, it was like, he would just be like, you're terrible. And I think I went back to like, I did not pass, and I started to go down that route of I'm not good enough. But then I remember Reverend Cynthia, where you're like, it's okay. Like, you know, it's all right. It's love yourself. That was you were just doing what you could. So I was able to do all of that work, and it's been good. So
Beautiful. Oh my gosh, I love it. So you just went back in time and cleared up something you've been carrying around for a long time, right? And there is something that happens to us where it was unsafe previously. We become available to the constructive criticism now without going into fight or flight, which is beautiful. So thank you so much. Liz, your hand's up. Did you want to share? Okay.
My last 24 hours has been extremely difficult. Those of you who know me know that I have a son who has mental health issues. And I was hospitalized at the end of January, I think. And I've been wearing this lovely monitor for almost a month now. And he's been offering to come over on the weekends, and in the beginning that was okay because I was scared to be by myself. And he leaves on like Monday morning. So Monday evening, which would have been last night, he calls me, and apparently he's off his meds. But he calls me and he tells me things like to just kill myself, and I was the one who caused all his problems. I was abusive, I was neglectful, I was all kinds of things. And he brought me to the point of tears. I couldn't really go kill myself. And I stayed as calm as I could, and I talked to him. And this boy has also, he's 26. This boy has also like shown some interest lately in what I do. And you know, he's actually brought up things like the Christ consciousness. So I ended up talking to him and just telling him that, you know, that I never meant to do anything to you. There was no intention to hurt you. And by the time I got done talking to him, he was in a ball of sobbing.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, Mom. And I didn't mean any of that. And
Wow.
yeah, it's still very difficult. I woke up today like in the same position I went to sleep in, and I could not move. Like my body was like stuck to the bed.
Yeah.
And I got a phone call from my somebody this morning, and I had a conversation with them. I don't remember this conversation at all. So I've put out the call to please call me back and tell me what we talked about, because I can't remember. But I got into that place where I was just very calm with him, and he ended up apologizing and
Amazing.
called me like 3 times today to tell me he loved me. And
Wow.
I'm having a problem because I'm like flippy floppy with the emotions, you know. I feel terribly bad that he feels that way about me,
Mhm.
but
No, at a certain point, we have to all of us are way bigger, right, than what we see in the physical. He has everything that he needs to successfully traverse this bus stop conversation, this movie of his life. So at a certain point, he needs to move off of pointing fingers to what do I need to do to be all right? Right? So you just holding him in that space of, you've got this. You got this.
We even had a conversation about the bus stop thing,
Okay.
and that we have people in our lives. We draw people into our lives to help assist us on earth to learn the things we need to learn. And he was like, yeah.
News to him, I'm sure. News to him. Ah, my goodness. Thank you, Liz.
Thank you for allowing me to share.
I love it. Thank you. Dan.
Hi, good evening, everybody. So my practice, I've been trying to do it every day or multiple times a day. And today I've been trying doing it in the car, and I thought probably not a good idea. So I stopped the driving as there was a semi in front of me braking. But anyway, that wasn't such a good idea. But this week it's been weird. I mean, like what is going on? Like I'm humming, I'm singing to myself. My husband's looking at me like, what is happening? And kind of smiling in a cute way. And I can't even say why. It's just like, nothing's really bothering me. And then I go and I become Jan again, and I intellectualize it all. And I think, but no, it couldn't be this because I'm not that good at it yet. And that's the first. And then the second thing is I'm not doing it every day because sometimes I forget. It's still a new practice for me. So that can't be it, is what I said. And so I'm kind of back and forth on that. And then my mom passed about 6 weeks ago.
Oh,
It's been rough.
I'm
And
sorry.
today, for the first time in like a year and a half, I went through the home voicemails because all it is callers, right? Just people trying to sell stuff.
Right.
And I went through 40 of them. It's just going bam, 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 bam. All of them were people trying to sell, except there were 2 messages. And they were from my mom. So I heard my mom, and this is pre-dementia, right? She had pretty bad dementia for the last year. And this is my mom, my sweet mom. Hi, Jan. Hi, honey. I'm making a tuna sandwich. She coming over. I mean, it was mom. And we're talking 3 years ago. This message was. But anyway, so I had it and I started crying. And then I was happy. And then I figured out a way to record it, which took a while for me, right? To record it. And then I sent it to my siblings on a text. Look what I got, and as I sent it, I was happy, that, they'll like to hear mom's voice. And then I thought about it. I thought, oh God, how is this going to be taken wrong? What's going to happen now? I mean, I was coming from love, I thought, sharing a beautiful message of my mom with my siblings. It had been reversed. Oh, there's mom, you know what I mean? My sister got upset with me.
Oh,
It ruined her day. And why would I do that? And instead of telling her to FO, like I wanted to so badly, and hang up the phone, and I didn't. I just said, hey, I found compassion.
wow.
It's hard because she's always the victim, and it gets really tiring after a while, right? And I just found compassion. I said, hey, I'm sorry you felt that way. I would have loved the voicemail. It's just mom. I was hoping you would enjoy it. I'm sorry you didn't, and I just kind of got off the phone. So I didn't tell her to up hers. I didn't say any of these things I really wanted to, but it was like the energy was just dissipating.
Wow.
That energy was gone. But it was so weird. As I sent it, I thought, oh, something's gonna go wrong. Because this is kind of how our relationship is.
Yeah.
No matter, in the moment, I'm thinking of something that they might like, right? And it's boom, boom. And it's like taken the wrong way. And I realized as I was driving, and I was trying to do the channel breathing, and the truck was in front of me. Anyway, as I was driving, I realized this is her stuff.
Exactly.
This is so not mine. And people have been telling me that for a long time, but I got it. And I got it, I think, inside.
Yes.
In my energy. So then I went back to singing and doing my thing in the car, and it was like I just moved on. But I keep though, and here's my question, I guess, Reverend, is I keep wanting to say it can't be this.
Oh, yes, it can.
It seems like all you guys have been together a long time in your, I guess, practice. I don't know how I got into your group, but I'm a total newbie, but I'm thinking I'm not doing it right. When I was doing one, I think I hurt my back. I was squeezing so hard to do it right. I kind of sprained my back, which is odd. But I'm doing it as often as I can and as much as I can remember, as often as I remember, the best I can. And I'm just thinking that's good enough.
Yes.
Right. So, I mean, I guess, could I be getting these results in?
Yes.
It's pretty spectacular. Anyway.
It seems like such an innocent exercise that we just can't begin to understand its potential and its impact.
Yeah.
But even this one breath, because it brings you, the rest of you, the bigness of you home, right? It's like, how can you not have that effect on your life? Because it's not necessarily it's you, because you're bringing you here.
Yeah.
So, yes.
So it was great. So I had to share that.
Thank you so much, Jan, for sharing that. Tracy.
Hi, everybody. Bruce, where's Bruce? Where did I see Bruce? Oh, Bruce. I have to take my hat off to Bruce's question last week because I get all contorted. I'm like, okay, I'm trying to do my eyes, tighten the throat, tighten the chest, tighten the bottom, and breathe through your belly. I was like,
You're like,
oh yeah, I'm having but I did do it this week, even though it was, and I know it'll come. It's like any other exercise. You got to train your body and that'll come. And I have faith that all that magic you talk about, Cynthia, I've seen it with you. I've seen it so I know it's magic. And so I'll keep doing it, everything. But Bruce, I was thinking of you the whole time. I was like, oh, okay, Bruce, I see why you asked that question. About squeezing.
I'm so glad that somebody was thinking of me.
Oh yeah, Bruce, I was thinking of you, baby.
Well, all right. I wish that I could be as optimistic. I've been trying to do this thing, and I just got very low down with the fact that I just can't get the muscular coordination down, and so I got really down on myself, and I was really thinking, what the hell am I doing this for? Go back to my Buddhist meditation, and but then I read the last 7 or 8 pages of the book where Dr. Sue goes over some very interesting troubleshooting stuff, and she seemed to answer. She seemed to bring up all the stuff that I was having, and she actually brought up this very interesting concept that the tension on all these 4 anchor points is some kind of what she calls friction.
Yep.
That you in fact need to overcome in order to fully appreciate the technique. In other words, I think she's trying to say if this was an easy technique, everybody would be doing it.
Right.
But it's not an easy technique, and I'm having a lot of trouble with it. But I found that those last few pages actually made it. It gave me some inspiration, and also looking at the web resources with the video resources on her website. That it's very good, and I found that the integration with the yoga, poses.
Yep.
Is really something. I mean, I've done yoga, but never looked at yoga as certain poses being indicated to wake up certain chakra centers. I mean, that was like really totally cool. So but I started out the week being down,
Yes.
much like my friend. Who was my friend that just said nice things? I forget, I can't remember.
Tracy.
That's Tracy. All right. Yeah, so that's my spiel for this week. I started down low and ended up a little higher.
And I thought of you as I got to the troubleshooting part because of the question that you posed last week. And when she's referring to friction, right, it's like the resistance that we have. But when you and I address friction internally, then we don't have to experience it externally. So I love that she used that word. So as long you and I keep coming in here, and yeah, we're battling with the central channel breath, but even like the whole time I'm sitting here with you guys, I'm not doing the throat and I'm not doing the eyes, but I am engaging Mula Bandha, and I am trying to breathe deeply, as deep as I can while I'm sitting here and talking simultaneously. So I do modified versions of the central channel breath most of the day, right? So don't worry about getting all of them, even if you do just one anchor point. The second that you engage the one anchor point at the root, you're already tethering the rest of yourself, the invisible self, to the bottom of the spine. You're bringing the invisible part of you here. And then all you have to do is breathe. Starting there. And yes. So let's do one right now before we go to soon. Just engage, everybody engage Mula Bandha, squeeze the Kegel muscle by half, or squeeze it and then release it by half. And then don't do anything else other than take a deep breath in. And exhale through the soles of your feet. And then breathe up from the earth. And exhale through the crown. So I'm looking at you, and I would never guess that you were doing this kind of breath work. Like, I can't see it on your faces. Your bodies are not contorted. So if you could do that every time you remember, that's going to have a tremendous impact. And then we're going to go over it a little bit more, but let's see what Soon has to say. Welcome.
Hi, welcome. Welcome, sorry. Hello, everyone. This is my first time in the live class. I'm very happy to be here. I am in Canada, so yeah. So I've been watching. I haven't caught up to all the videos yet, but I've started the reading, and I've been doing the central channel breathing, and a lot has been happening for me. Especially I just started, a lot of emotions, I find myself crying and many things. But one thing that happened that seemed really weird just on Sunday, I believe it was, I was at lunch with some of my friends, and one of my friend's cousins came from out of town. And she was talking about how one of my friends really helped her with her child who has autism. So I was sitting there, and she said all these kind things, how my friend helped her with getting her son's speech better. And I was moved to tears, but the tears came from like my belly. It doesn't make sense here, but it kind of came from like my belly and kind of worked his way up, So that was kind of freaky, but but I thought this definitely has to do with the central channel breathing, and just feeling, in a very different way. So I wanted to share that. Yeah.
I love that. Yeah. I don't know what's happening. Okay. So yeah, when it comes up from the belly, right, that's where we hold most of our unprocessed emotions in chakra 2, around the area just above the belly button. So yeah, it's like when we're frightened, when we're on a roller coaster, we hold our breath, we go, and somehow like we stuff down all of our fear into that lower part of the belly, right? So sometimes something else will trigger an emotion for us, and it's like somebody pops open a balloon and everything starts to rise. So that was good. And if you guys didn't notice, in chapter 4, I think towards the end, yeah, Dr. Sue typed out, and I put it in the chat. It's drsuemortar.com/energy codes book. And it's a website for everybody that has purchased the book. And there are videos on there for all of the different breath works for the central channel breath by her, the 4 anchor points, the different breaths that we're going to encounter as we continue down the book. She has videos of some of the exercises that we're going to go over tonight. So don't worry about taking notes, because there's already a recording of it. And there's yoga, like Bruce was saying, Dr. Sue's yoga is like nobody else's yoga I've ever encountered in my life. Her it's called Body Awake Yoga, and it goes so beautifully, and it's incredibly powerful for bringing together the mind, the body, and the breath, aka spirit. So she has at least 2 videos on there. And she shows you how to do the poses either on the mat or from a chair. So anybody can do her yoga, right? Even if you're not a yoga, even you, Liz. And I think next week we're going to do some. But we'll be doing them from the chair, right? So we'll be doing the very easy versions of it. But part of this yoga, the way that this yoga works, I like tuning into her yoga. I subscribe to her yoga monthly membership. It's $15 a month. She teaches, I believe, 1 Thursday a month now, or 2. I can't remember. And I like tuning in because she does so much teaching before she gets into the poses, explaining so much to you that things start making sense as to, so here's the bottom line of it. When you and I put ourselves in these sacred geometrical positions and we're breathing consciously, it's like building circuits throughout your body times 1,000. It's one of the things that builds circuits the quickest. It helps you bring more of yourself into the body. And there's such a coherence that happens between the mind, body, and the breath. So if you guys are interested in that, it's $15 a month for her monthly membership. She instantly gives you access to like 2.5 years worth of classes. There are 20-minute classes. There are hour-long classes. There are longer classes. Level of difficulty, it's broken down by like simple, medium, advanced. It is amazing, 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 amazing. But explore the resources that you already have first on this website. And Lisa.
Yeah, where's the address, the website?
I put it on
In the book?
It's in the, but I put it here on the chat at 6:50, like 2 messages up. But it's at the end, I believe, of chapter 4.
Oh, okay, I see it.
You see it?
And yeah, and what about, oh, you said in a chair or on the floor. Okay. Yeah.
Right.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm not a yoga person, but when she's teaching it and we're like we're at a training or we're traveling, my butt is up at 4 o'clock or 5 o'clock or whatever time she says.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's amazing. It is amazing.
Even if you have sciatic? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Start exploring that page And you're
Mhm.
getting the option to do it from the chair.
Mhm.
And it's amazing. Right? Because what we really want to do is we want to bring your presence into that sciatic nerve so that it can heal.
Right. Okay. Absolutely. I
Okay.
was wondering how to do that. I do the breathing, and
Mhm.
sometimes I can feel it expanding there, but I don't really know what I'm doing. So,
And we'll dive into that more I think next week, or I'll come prepared with suggestions if we don't do it next week.
okay. Thank you.
So let's dive into the anybody else before we move? I think, thank you so much, first of all, for sharing all of this with us. I'm delighted. And like Tracy said, like I would never stand behind anything unless I knew it worked, and I have to apply it in my own life first. And it doesn't seem to stop, you guys, right? It just gets better. And like today, you would think I would be freaking out, right? I submitted my paperwork to my tax preparer a month and a half ago. No sign of my taxes. You know, I have like a fear of or there has been a fear or subconscious fear of the IRS. And somehow, I'm like, steady. I have a class. This is gonna be fine. Let me work my magic. Doot, doot, doot. I just know it's gonna be just fine, right? I'm like, even if they email me at like 5 minutes to 12, it does not matter. The IRS has no power over me. So, all right, that's my share for today. That's what was different. Oh my gosh, Marilyn. Yes, yes, Nikki.
Hi, everyone. Good to see everyone. Good to be here. I was just listening to you talk about the taxes, but this week, well, for the last couple of weeks, it has really just been one financial challenge after the other. And I'm a support group facilitator also. And so yesterday in group, I was sharing, and I was sharing about the energy codes and different things like that. And I said, all this stuff is coming up. And I'm like, a couple of years ago, that would have put me in the hospital. But I said, it's like now, I'm like, okay. And I was telling them about the central channel breathing and, the things that I've been doing. And I'm like, you know what, everything is going to work out. I'm not asking how it's going to work out, but I just know. And so that was like really a big shift for me that I didn't even really, I was like, oh, I'm not stressing, it is what it is. And so when you said that, it brought it to my memory that, this, I've been really, experiencing just really a shift in my attitude towards, not spiraling. That's what I call it, and it's like, okay, what's going to be is going to be, it'll all work out, so
I'm right.
yeah, I'm so enjoying this book study. It's what I asked for. And then one of the things I did say too is that I've been doing this meditation around finances and money, because I put it out there. I put the intention that I wanted to develop a healthier attitude around my finances that wasn't, based in fear. So, and then that even came to my memory that, wait, okay, you asked for this. So now it's showing up to, practice it. So, so yeah, that's what took place for me this week.
Oh my goodness. Thank you so much for that. Yeah, all of these fear-based beliefs that we carry, right? They'll keep coming back until it's completely cleaned up. And we know beyond a shadow of a doubt, like you said, that we're going to be okay, even if like worst case scenario happened, right? Somehow it's all going to work out, because the truth is that the whole universe is for us, the whole thing, right? There's nobody conspiring against us. There's nobody that's trying to keep us from achieving happiness. Let me get to the front side of that. There's an entire universe conspiring on our behalf that wants us to experience what it means to be in the vibration of celebration for simply being. And that's where we want to be. So the anchoring code, I took a few notes, like 10 pages worth. There's just so much good in here. So when somebody is not, for example, well, let me go back to my first page. Oh, I know why I'm not there, because I went looking for that website address that I had written down to give you guys. So anchoring is essential, is the essential energetic, we're anchoring the essential energetic part of our nature to our physical form, to the body, right? We're bringing the rest of that into here in the anchoring code. So she broke it down into 7 codes, the anchoring code being the first one. And it's the first step towards living as that, as the soulful self. Because previously we're up here in our mind in survival, right? Trying to keep ourselves safe. So we start bringing the rest of that in here, and then we start living from that. We choose our physical destination at the bus stop. You know, we land in this 3rd dimension. We disperse, the mind goes one way, the body goes another, the breath goes down yet another way. And we don't remember who we are or where we came from. We're walking around, you know, trying to figure that out. And that's exactly what happens. We're wondering, who are we? Where are we? If we are safe, how to fit in, how to follow rules, how to people please for our survival. And all of that keeps you up here, right? With all of that figuring out, we use our mind disproportionately to the rest of our being. It's not meant to be the Google of information for our existence, right? The mind is limited. So we're living from our head at that point. We're out of touch with our body. Somebody mentioned it earlier that, I think it was Ebony, who said that prior to, she wasn't able to pick up on the sensations that were happening in here. Sometimes I'm working with clients that are new to this work, or sometimes I'm working with people that I've been working with for a while. And every time I ask them to drop into their body and scan where they may be feeling it, they stop right here. They're like, you know, I can't do that. And it's like, no, I know you can, you just won't. I know you can. So, but we meet everybody where they are, right? So we're out of touch with our body. And instead of us being able to use our own internal referencing, I think I mentioned it in, I don't know if I mentioned it in the prayer or not today, but the importance, right, of dropping from the mind into the heart and allowing this to be our internal navigation system for this and our bellies. Because otherwise we're out here scanning the room to see whether or not we're okay, right? So you and I are learning how to come in here and then checking in this central channel to determine whether we are okay. And that's one of the big differences when we start anchoring here. And of course, our culture reinforces this way of living, of being in our heads, right? Everybody prides themselves on, I don't know, keeping themselves safe, staying 5 steps ahead of the game. No one is in the present. Everybody is in the future or in the past, right? And the problem with this is that those people will never feel fulfilled. There will always feel like there's something missing. And because they're not looking for the right thing, which is the rest of themselves, that feeling will remain, right? The only thing that'll satisfy this feeling of there's something missing is finding the rest of ourselves. Right. So, and until you and I access the rest of who we are, and granted, that evolves over time, right? We're accessing more and more and more and more. But who was it? Somebody said something. Was it Ebony? When you start accessing more of your, who was it here? Somebody say they were crying tears of joy. Becky. When you start to access more of yourself, it does bring you to tears. You're like, oh my God, where have you been my whole life? And you and I start living from this place, and it draws people to you, right? If you're in a relationship already, your partner is like, who said that? Somebody said that too. Somebody, oh, Jan, your husband was like, what is different? Right? It's amazing. And if you're not in a, or so the more you start to access the authentic version of yourself, the real part of yourself, you become a magnet in every possible way. So where before you and I used to want something, the mere wanting would push the thing away. But because your attention is in here, in the central channel at the core of you, you're constantly referencing via the information from in here, it draws things to you. So talk about witchy, Chimpy.
We are the something, huh? We are that something, and it's radiating, and they feel it, and it feels good.
And they want
and
some.
And they want some. Yes.
I was dating my client. She was getting ready to go on a first date. I go, stay in the channel. Stay in the channel. And it'll draw them to you. And this was the one that didn't want to come below here. And I'm like, are you willing to come in now? Are you willing? Becky.
Okay, so I just wanted to share this really quick because I thought it was so interesting. It was a few weeks ago, and I keep meaning to bring it up and I keep forgetting, but we had talked about trying to, breathe in. We talked about, like sometimes I can't seem to breathe all of it in. Feels like not all of it's coming in. But then I had a sensation this one time. I was sitting on my couch doing the central channel breathing, and it felt like, how like when you have a shop vac and you're cleaning and it's like all these things, like objects get sucked up into the shop vac, or like when your kids were little and you're vacuuming and you're sucking up Legos and pieces of crumbs and cookies and stuff. That's how it felt. Like I was sucking up all of these materials out of the earth. It was the most interesting, I don't know. It's like, that's the only thing I can compare it to is like a vacuum cleaner sucking up. That's how it felt. Like I was literally pulling things out of the earth. And I don't know what that, I was hoping you could tell me what that was.
I have an idea of a possibility. So, and we haven't gotten into the chakras yet, but all of us have 7 chakras inside of the body. And we did talk about this a little bit on the first night. So we have 7 chakras that go from Mulabandha to here. And then we have 2 chakras above our head and 1 chakra 2 feet below us, which is chakra 10. Chakra 10 has everything that we need for us to fulfill our legacy, for us to fulfill our soul mission, our life purpose. It's where, when we landed in this dimension, before we created a physical body, we dropped off our overnight bags that had everything that we were going to need to do this life successfully. So whenever we're breathing, and then we're breathing up from 2 feet below you, you're accessing your overnight bags where you packed what you were going to need, right? That's why we breathe from here all the way down and then breathe up to access everything you need, right? So that might have been what happened. You may have popped open those suitcases.
I don't know. It was like, yeah, just a bunch of Legos and pieces of cookie and whatever. I don't know what it was.
But yeah, kind of keep that in the forefront of your awareness as we continue and see if you
Yeah.
get more revealed to you.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I almost felt like at the time, the thing that I don't want to say I was wanting, but just envisioning was healing, like, and healthy relationships. And just the fact that this happened with my mom is, I thought was an indication of that.
Yeah.
Right.
You probably were able to get what you needed and then were able to show up
Mm,
from this place of wholeness.
mm,
You weren't lacking anything and you were
yeah.
able to be and
I
share.
feel whole. I honestly did feel whole. I didn't feel defensive or, which is a lot of times the way I feel with my mom is very defensive, like I'm about to be attacked or, and so I just felt whole. I just felt complete and very peaceful. And
Right. That's why the title of my book, the subtitle is, it says like my journey of healing and return to wholeness. Right. The condition may still be here, but I found my way back to my wholeness. That's what starts to happen. And then the physical body catches up.
yeah.
So thank you, Becky.
Mm.
All right. So the key so we want to be grounded. We want to be grounded so that we allow ourselves to be supported by the planet. That is like she came into existence to provide a place for this life to flourish, and we're a part of that life. And she emanates a magnetic frequency that is supportive of the life that inhabits her. So when you and I start to come into chakra 1 by anchoring, we pop open that chakra, we unblock it, and then the energy that emanates off the earth is able to come in through the soles of our feet, up our legs, into the root chakra. That's the beginning of you and I allowing ourselves to be supported, right? So that's part of the importance of the anchoring code and coming all the way in. We need to be, when we're anchored, we're centered and we're grounded. So like so many of you described, these life experiences show up, and it's like you start to learn how to sit in the eye of the storm and watch the phenomena go around, but somehow you still feel centered and grounded, right? You don't become like those things outside the tax office that are doing this. There is such a steadiness that begins to happen. Let's see. So we want to begin to concentrate the energy of our soulful self more fully here in the body. So to integrate, we stop looking outside of ourselves. We start referencing internally to see how it is that we are doing. This allows us to perceive the soulful self on a more regular basis. We start to, I don't know about you guys, but I think in the beginning, every now and then, I would be sitting on the couch and I would be doing central channel breathing, and I would see misty white substance. And that's how Dr. Sue describes it. It would be fleeting, maybe a fraction of a second. But if you start to have that experience, that is your soulful self, right? It is like a misty white substance. Liquid misty white substance is what she calls it. All right. Let's see. So your life becomes your chosen adventure rather than something to survive, right? When you start anchoring your body. Because otherwise it seems like you're moving through a random set of circumstances all the time. But you start coming in here and it just starts to, well, that was part of it. That was part of what it was trying to get us to do in the first place, was to figure out that we were hanging out here, and it wanted us to come in here. The soulful self wanted to take residence in this body, in this channel. We start to awaken the healer within. if that's not worth it, if that's not reason enough to do this, right? You start bringing more of the invisible part of you into this central channel, and things begin to heal on all levels, right? Physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual. And I say spiritual because a lot of us are still walking around with the belief of the amnesia that we became separate from that which created us. So I think that's the only thing that needs to heal spiritually, is the belief in separation. So that gets addressed at that level. And also, when we start coming into the body, you and I become much more perceptive to clues and nudges, so that life doesn't have to come and whack us over the head or push us. Right? We're spending so much time in here that we do feel the right. So we start to notice the clues, even the second that I see that cat from the Matrix walk by me twice, I'm like, oh, okay, stop. Something needs my attention. And there are other ways that I think that this movie glitches sometimes, right? Something catches our attention. I don't know. It's strange, I think, the way I notice glitches every now and then. So let's see, the practices of the anchoring code, how to anchor in the body. Subject, object, subject is the one that I was telling you guys saved Jesse so many times. So something happens out there. I flare up. I become very upset. The inclination, the knee-jerk reaction is to, rah, 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 rah. You did this to me. You hurt me. That trigger has probably been there for at least 30 years, maybe 10 years, maybe 5 years. But they likely did not install the thing, right? Who knows how long it's been there? But I'm not even going to try to analyze it at the level of the mind, because I will not get off this hamster wheel. What I will do is I will politely excuse myself from the room, find a private place, sit down on my couch, and then come inside and see where it is that I'm feeling it in the body. So you and I are subject. What happens out there is object. The practice is to bring attention back onto subject. So subject got pissed off, got snagged, got caught on object, bring my attention back on to subject. And then once we do that,
Can I say something? Can I say something? I like that how you use it. It grabbed me when you say, excuse me while I go work on this, or while I go work on something. And I really like that, because that's really necessary, especially if you are dealing with fight or flight, right? And so I'm using it now. I'm using it. So,
right? Because
I'm the one that has to do the work. But go ahead. I'm sorry.
Exactly. You said that earlier, right? It has nothing to do with them and everything to do with us. And that is not selfish behavior.
No.
That is,
because it's going to make it smoother for them. It's going to make it, you get to see it from another perspective, and not like, oh boy, you are in the line of fire. Look what you did. If I were you, I wouldn't have done that. Don't you know what could happen here?
right. I remember years ago, there was a guy that came to Agape. He passed away a few years back. His name was Hans Christian King, and he was a psychic. And every now and then he would do the talks whenever Michael would travel. And somehow I had 200 extra bucks at the time, and I went to go see him after service one day. And he tells me, oh, you have a lot of dead bodies in your past. And granted, I hadn't killed anybody literally or physically, but energetically with my tongue, had I killed a lot of people, right? Because it was always a defense, or you did this to me, right? He goes, stop doing that.
I was calling them stranger danger. Like they're dangerous. They're dangerous for me.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, and it was funny because Desi and I were broken up at the time, and he had created a column of past and present. And so Jesse was originally on the past, but he goes, and then we would dialogue. He goes, I keep wanting to move him. Like he's not quite out of the picture, but stop killing him. Hi, Leo. Oh my goodness. So that's why like subject, object, subject is so valuable, right? If we notice that we got upset and we take 110% responsibility for what's going on internally with ourselves, and you and I, excuse ourselves, we go to another room. So that's subject, object, subject. That's part A of this exercise. Then there is the feel it, don't name it part. That's when you scan your body. So feel it, don't name it. Because if I name it, I'm going to write a 10-page story about what just happened. So I don't want to go into story. I want to go at it at the level of the energy. My body is serving me and it's trying to tell me where it's being stored. So let me scan my body and let me see where the emotion is. Is it in my belly? Is it in my throat? Is it in my chest? Right? So feel it, don't name it. My body's trying to tell me where it is. Let me locate it. Once I do that, we're going to use our body to squeeze the area where it's at. So if it's in my throat, let me like clench my shoulders a little bit, or let me just crunch up my neck a little bit. And then let me bring all my loving energy to that area, and I'm going to start central channel breathing through it.
That like during meditation, when Reverend Michael says, squeeze everything. So we're only going to squeeze wherever that.
Yes, only that, because when I locate it, let's get it here in my chest. And the moment that I squeeze it, my body is telling that pocket of energy, I'm on to you. I've called reinforcements. We're going to take care of this. And then it puts itself in a position where the second that you bring your love and your breath to it, it dissipates.
Wow.
And within about 5 to 10 minutes, it's gone. Never to be triggered again. So you could spend 20 years on a couch in traditional therapy, or you can do this. Right? And so if you, every time they push a button that touches on an ouchie, on a wound that has been there, but you resist the temptation to engage, and you retreat to the privacy of an area, and you address it this way, before you know it, most of your triggers are going to be gone, and you're going to be able to walk around life, and hardly anything is going to get you. There's going to be very few things that are left on that list that'll throw you for a loop. And I have managed to find those last 3 things.
I've been told that I have 150 triggers.
Right? But you start addressing it one by one. And eventually you're just like, God, that would have upset me before. But not anymore.
Starting to happen. That's starting to happen.
Mm-hmm.
It really is. And I do have to tell myself, you know what? You are safe. You're secure. God is with you. He never leaves you, never forsakes you. You are safe. Yes. You know, when I do that, I remind myself. I do, the deep breathing, central channel, and then it relaxes my nervous system. Good.
Yes.
Yeah.
So if you and I are responsible for ourselves, and we allow others to be responsible for themselves, but we're going to be okay no matter what, there would be no wars on this planet. Ebony.
So is that what I was doing when I sensed the tension in my throat and then went into the breathing?
Yes. And I don't know if you did that knowingly or your higher self said, do this, and you did it. But that's exactly what happens, right? Because sometimes it's so painful when it gathers right here. But you started breathing through it and then just making sure that you're like emanating all the love that you can into that area. If you didn't add that because you didn't know yet, add that one element. So that's subject, object, subject. Feel it, don't name it. Right? And it gets you off that hamster wheel of, you know, retelling it for who knows how long. Let me tell so-and-so doesn't know what he did. And let me tell so-and-so. And you stay in turmoil, right? Lisa.
I think I remember watching one of Dr. Sue's videos, and she was talking about the body and the breath. And then I think she mentioned something about let the body tell you, and it'll move. It'll move.
Huh?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. We were at a training a few years back, and Dr. Lori, who does my spiritual best sessions here in Henderson, she's been in this teaching for like 30 years. And we were doing yoga, and her body put itself in a certain position. And it was like her hip flexor opened up and it released something that was probably present since she was 5 and she's in her 60s. And all of this emotion came out. But she was able to leave it there on the yoga mat that day. So yeah, the body is very intelligent, right? We want to make it our best friend. All right. So those are 2 exercises for the anchoring code. We talked about how when you keep your attention inside of the channel, it attracts people to you. And you can try this even. You can experiment with someone and like think I need something from you, and like, but just say it to yourself. Don't say it out loud. And watch them run from you. Right? It retracts, it pushes. And that's what happens even with money, you guys. If we're thinking, I need money, I want money, it pushes us. It's the same energy. But if you keep your attention in here, it starts showing up. Whatever it is that we need, it starts coming more easily. We stop ceasing having to make things happen, and life starts to meet us where we're at, and it starts to unfold gracefully, and opportunities that we never saw coming start showing up that provide us with, whether it's the relationship, whether it's the finances, whether it's you name it. Keep your attention in here and you start attracting it all.
Because I think I heard it said that when we're saying, if we have the wrong intention on the money, we're telling like the universe, I lost my train. I don't have it. Something's missing. Something's missing.
Right. And
so whatever it is, we're saying something's missing. I don't have it. And now you're going to get more of the same. You don't have it. Instead of saying,
I can walk around saying I don't have health, and guess what? Then that's the trajectory, continued trajectory, right? Or I can say I don't have time, then of course my days will continue to feel like there is no time. Or I can walk around saying, it's so spacious in my life every day. It feels so good. I like my schedule. Tracy.
Yeah, I just at church on Sunday, Reverend Michael shared, he said something that really got to me. He said, we're not here to get something. Okay, we're not here to get something from the world. We're here to love the world. So that really, if I'm not here to get something, I'm just here to love the world. That helps me focus my job at hand. So
Right? It helps you stay in here and your relationship with your own higher self and the presence of God, because God is our source for all things. And then you and I participate fully because we're allowing ourselves to be supported. And then we give and we receive and we give. Right?
Circulation.
Yes, the complete circle of circulation. But when you and I are not all the way in the body and chakra 1 is blocked, then you are not allowing yourself to be supported by earth. And we have to be supported in both directions to be able to receive and to give. We have to use the body for everything today. Right? That's why we got to come all the way in. So even if all you do is squeeze and just breathe and walk around the house going, mulabanda, mulabanda, mulabanda. Okay, so let's see. We have the central channel breath down. We did it a little bit. Do you guys want to go over that again? That's another one of the exercises for this one. Okay, so let's do that one more time together. And like some of the details to this is to keep your jaw slightly open, but your lips closed, right? So that you're not clenching, because you know how we were talking about sometimes we feel contorted. So I don't want you to get TMJ and get like right here. So keeping the teeth open, but the lips closed. So let's begin by squeezing Mula Bandha. And then let's relax the top because I get really tense too. Okay. Okay. So now we have Mula Bandha engaged. And then let's just slightly push the shoulders back to open up the heart. Perfect. And then just bring the chin back by about 1/4 of an inch, just a little bit. And then looking up at the center of your forehead with your eyes closed. And then let's take a breath in from above our heads into our belly through our nose. And drop it into the earth. Now that we know that we need this sustenance from the earth, we breathe it up into our belly. And exhale through our crown. Allowing ourselves to be supported by heaven, we breathe in from overhead into our belly. And exhale down into the earth. Each time we're going down into the earth, we're popping open our overnight bags. Whenever you guys have something that you need to do that feels unknown to you, before you do it, breathe into chakra 10. Bring up what you need. So breathing up from 2 feet below you into your belly. And exhaling through the crown. Keeping the body as relaxed as possible. Breathing in from overhead into your belly. And exhaling down into chakra 10. You and I get to be supported by heaven and earth. Breathing up from chakra 10 into the belly. And exhaling. Did it feel a little easier this time? A little, okay. We just want it to feel just a little bit easier each time. Nikki?
I have a quick question. So if you're thinking about like money and finances, would you think about like abundance and maybe focus on the root chakra while doing the central channel breathing then?
Yeah.
Am I hearing that right?
That would be good. Right? Because as we're doing this and tap into the energy of all of your needs being met,
Mm,
in every possible way without even specifying, like finances.
sure.
'Cause, right, all of us are here to deliver our gifts. So long as we are supported, then we can concentrate on sharing those things.
Mm,
Right? So it's like, thy will be done and give me what I need to do it, higher self and God.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And maybe show me how I can give. I used to be the biggest giver, like in so many ways with gifts, like actual presents and just other ways. And now I feel so limited. And that's what I've been working through the last so many years. Like I just like, what happened? So
And
interesting.
right. And if everything, we may not be able to see it as we're moving through it, but everything is designed to allow you to access more of who you really are. So if you just hang out in that space of, okay, what are you trying to show me? Where do I need to deepen my trust that I am provided for is a big one, right? Because we're so used to doing things like, if I don't do it, it ain't going to happen. And yeah, I trust God, but if I don't do it, it ain't going to happen. So it's almost like it calls BS. You said you trust God. Do you really trust God? Do you? Right? So it starts to go through those beliefs in the subconscious, like pulling out weeds. So that's why it's so important to hold ourselves lovingly as we're moving through the experiences, because all the universe is doing is coming and yanking out these beliefs that are not the truth about who you and I are. Right? So even starting a dialogue with spirit and your higher self and speaking to it on a daily basis, right? Like making, so besides the mind and the body and the spirit having a besties relationship, we want to have a besties level relationship with God and our higher self as well. Right? Talk to God. I'm like, I'm willing to do all of this. And can you make it easy for me? Can you send me some guidance, some instructions, some insights, and be ready to receive them.
After your prayer this morning, I actually, before I started going into work, I actually sat and just asked, what am I here to be? And just like use this physical body to maneuver what it is I'm here to create and what I am here to do. So that was kind of helpful, and it kind of actually stirred up something in me. Like I got excited. I didn't know what I was getting excited about, but I just got excited. So
I love that. I think that's a momentum in the right direction. Right? Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you, Nikki. Lisa, did you have a question or a comment?
I don't know. No, not really. I don't.
Okay. Bruce.
Oh, yes, a question. The technique that you described before where, let's say you're in an emotional situation and you're feeling the tension in a certain part of your body and you tighten it up and then breathe centrally. Is that the same thing as what Dr. Sue calls drop in, drop through? Is that the same thing or is that different?
It's different, but let's do drop in, drop through. That's another exercise for this code. And I hadn't really worked with it. So, but I found it interesting. So drop in, drop through is supposed to feel like a waterfall pouring through your system, like washing you clean. So the first step to this one is, it says, notice the energy around your head and shoulders right now. Even if there is no big upset, just become aware, close your eyes and see if you can notice the energy around the area of the head and the shoulders. Now bring it to the center of your head with your imagination. It's like grab that energy and go to the middle of the head. And now that it's positioned there, take a deep breath and breathe into the belly. and exhale. And now we're going to engage the 4 anchor points. So squeeze Mula Bandha. And then just slightly push the shoulders back. Bring your chin back just a little. And then with your eyes closed, look up at the center of the forehead. And now notice the energy around your head and your shoulders. Bring it to the center of the head. And then take a deep breath in from above your head, grabbing it as you go down to the belly. And now exhale it through the soles of your feet all the way down to the earth. Drop your shoulders, drop the belly, drop the pelvic floor, release the anchor points. See if you can feel like a waterfall running through your system. So it's becoming aware of the energy. We can do it one more time. So become aware of the energy around your head, your shoulders. Gather it with your imagination, bring it to the center. And then you're going to take a deep breath in from overhead and you're going to grab it on the way. So as we breathe in, visualize it going down into the belly. And then drop it through the soles of the feet into the center of the earth. Release the shoulders, release the belly, release Mula Bandha. And see if you can feel energy pouring into your system. So that is drop in, drop through. I like that. Liz, do you want me to do it again? One more time? Okay. So with your eyes closed, pay attention to any energy that is hanging out around your shoulders or around your head area. And then like gather it with your imagination and bring it to the center of the head. And then we're going to take a breath in from overhead. But as we're breathing in, it's like we're going to stop in the center of the head. We're going to pick up this ball of energy and we're going to take it with us to the belly. So breathe in. And you're going to exhale down into the earth. Relaxing the shoulders, relaxing the belly, relaxing the bottom of the pelvic floor. And now just allowing yourself to sense any energy that it might be pouring through your system now. So one more time. Noticing any energy that's hanging out at the level of the head, the level of the shoulders, bringing it to the center of the forehead. And then engaging Mula Bandha, pushing the shoulders back slightly, bringing the chin back, and looking up at the center of the forehead. And now we're going to take a breath in from overhead, picking this energy up on the way down. And then exhaling it down to the earth. Releasing the shoulders, the third eye, the belly, Mula Bandha. And see if you can sense the waterfall of energy pouring through. Allowing it to just wash you clean. To clear all of the energy. Okay. How is that, you guys? So that's drop in, drop through. Right? And that helps you anchor. It helps you come into the body. Beautiful. So a couple more some characteristics about the root chakra. That's the one that we're dealing with in this one, in this chapter. We tend to hang out in survival and wanting to feel secure in life. That's a root chakra issue. When we're not rooted, we're not grounded. We feel anxious. We feel unstable. We feel unsafe when we're not living in chakra 1. I can't tell you how many people come to me with ideas of wanting to execute projects and they have no follow through, right? They tell me, let's meet on this day because we want to do this thing. And then it doesn't happen. And I'm like, you are not in your root chakra.
Is that what that is?
Yes. They are not.
My youngest son always does this, and I'm like, God, I taught my boys to be men of their word. You know what I mean? Well, my daughter too, but you know, the men. And he doesn't have follow through.
No follow.
He needs to do a root chakra.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
Right. And I'll offer my class. I'm like, take my class.
I have a question, but I see two. Should I raise my hand?
No, go ahead, Chimpy.
I felt the waterfall. Full disclosure, I haven't read chapter 4 yet. But that doesn't, I'm deep diving this stuff. So, the notes are thick, and there's pictures, there've been some stickers added. I'm telling you, it's the whole journey. But what is the waterfall doing? I felt it. I felt it. But what am I doing when I do that?
So that those are like the primary 3 exercises that help you ground and come into your body. And I feel that it's clean. So this is my interpretation of it. I feel like it's cleaning up the energy from when we're staying in our heads and getting us to come all the way in. All right. So let's see. And this will be so much more helpful. Like once you start going through chapter 4, Chimpy, because you're already doing these exercises, it's going to get even easier for you. So another characteristic of chakra 1 issues is challenges with communication, feelings of low self-esteem. She says somebody who has serial marriages or jobs, they are not rooted usually in their body. Right? They're just not grounded. They're not centered. I have a friend who will accept a proposal and move in and then realize that it wasn't the right choice, or take a job, move cross country, and then realize it wasn't a good fit. And I'm like, take the class, get. You will save yourself a lot of time and a lot of money. Get in there. Not rooted, not grounded. All right. May look strong on the outside, but eventually can no longer outrun their fears. Another characteristic of the root chakra. Suffers from a strong sense that they don't belong. Big time, big one for me initially, right? For many, many years. Let's see, knowing I belong without needing to fit in. I love that now, right? I used to adapt who I was depending on the room that I entered and the people that were in it. And of course, you never know who you are when you're constantly acclimating. So you start coming into your root chakra and you're consistently you, even as you evolve, and that changes, we stay fluid, but you don't change to the environment anymore. You finally start to realize who it is that you are. Some of the yoga poses that help with this one is chair pose. And chair pose, I'm no yoga expert, but I will try and show you. Is basically, right, like sitting in a chair and raising your hands and taking 3 breaths in. That'll help you get in your body.
And for those of us who can't even stand up,
I cannot even stand up. Let me see. What other one is good? Even if you do it like this from the chair, Liz, and do 3 breaths in. So just hold your arms here and breathe in. And if you can do that for 3 to 10 breaths, that's a good one for it. But go on to the resource page. And actually, let me look at the chart really quick. There's a chart on page 117, and it tells you that it's like for chakra 1, where it's located, what color corresponds to it. The root chakra is red. It tells you what parts of the body are affected when we're in chakra 1 and when we're not in chakra 1. So it says bone, skeletal structure, our hips, our legs, our feet, our genitals, base of our spine, and our kidneys. Body's life force, teeth, nails, blood, adrenal glands. Backside symptoms. So those are the areas of the body that gets affected. So if you and I are not in it, it can show up in these ways. You and I come into chakra 1, these are the areas of the physical body that begin to improve. Does that make sense? Backside symptoms, mental lethargy, spaciness, incapacity for inner stillness, poor general health, lacking vital energy. I knew when I read that I was not in chakra 1 when I came to this work, right? Frontside characteristics, self-mastery, high physical energy, groundedness, vibrant health, a recognition that I am here as source. This is my gig. I belong. I bring what I choose to the experience. For the most part, I feel like I'm on the front side now, with an exception of a thing or two still, right? But going completely from backside to almost all the way through on the front side, I think. But that's what's available to us. These are the practices for the root chakra, the subject, object, subject, which we did, the central channel breath with the 4 anchor points, drop in, drop through, which was the waterfall exercise. And then the yoga poses was the chair pose that I just showed you, warrior 1, something called pyramid pose, tree pose, and standing forward. But Liz, if you go onto the website where it's the Dr. Sue Com /energy codes book, it'll have videos or pictures of how to do those poses for this chakra. Okay. And then I'll actually go on there and I'll include them in the email that I send out with the recording as well. Okay, I will do that. So that is the anchoring code, ladies and gentlemen. Any questions on what we just covered? Or
I have a question. When you do the yoga poses,
yes,
is the breathing supposed to be central channel breathing, or is it more normal breathing?
It's more normal, and she refers to it as conscious breathing, which is just not abandoning your body, not checking out mentally, and keeping your attention here. So long as you and I stay present with the body, and we don't say you're on your own.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Jennifer.
I had a question about the white substance that you were describing earlier. Is that it? Does it look similar to, like, if you think you're seeing like floaties in a sense, like crystalline floaties? Is that similar to that? Or
I think I think it's more like a cloud, like when you're in a plane, but not so thick. But to me, whenever, because I've seen those flashes or crystal little things every now and then, I perceive those as angels, or yeah, like spirit guides, or I think I know it's energy, right? I just don't know that it's necessarily mine. It feels like maybe, but then Dr. Seuss says that we exist on every dimension, and that this is like the human version of us on this dimension. And as we continue to go up higher to different dimensions, that there's an angelic version of us. So maybe we are seeing ourselves when we see the fleshies.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay. Nikki.
So just reading that about the root chakra, I see where there's so many areas in my life that are affected. And it's funny because I think I'm always grounded, especially when I go into session with people. I always make sure I take time to ground. I'm like, oh, I feel centered and everything. But I'm like, oh, but when I look out at my life, not really as centered as I thought I was. So it's really interesting because I think this is going to make a big game changer. It's almost like that root chakra is going to become a BFF at this point. So just like making all these changes, but so many different areas are affected. And I just see how one thing has a deeper issue, and it's just showing up in different ways for me.
Right. It was funny because when we were in France with Dr. Sue, she was talking and she came and she stepped on my foot as she kept talking to the class. And I was like, I don't know if I was floating out of my body and she was trying to ground me.
Stay right here.
She's stepping on my foot. So yes, Nikki, I can relate.
Her body energy telling you to ground. I'm going to keep talking while you just focus on your feet.
Right. I think those were her last words to me before we left France. She goes, I want you to know you're going to be okay. You're actually going to be more than okay. She goes, just focus on grounding. And I was like, okay. So that's how important grounding is, right? Oh my goodness. Thank you guys so much. Any last comments or questions, you guys, before I pray us out?
I love you.
I love you. Oh my goodness.
Look at the love.
Right?
You can feel it.
I most certainly do. But it talks about when you get to the front side of the model and you know what you're here to be and do. And thank you guys for thank you guys.
Thank you.
All right, so let me invite, okay, so read chapter 4 and let's close our eyes and take a breath. And tell how grateful and thankful I am for all that has transpired here this evening. For Dr. Sue, for all of the individuals that have gone before us, preparing the way, making these teachings and every other teaching that has crossed our path available to us, so that we may discover what it means to be who we truly are. And we can step into it more easily, more gracefully, so that we may share our gifts and simultaneously become really good at allowing ourselves to be supported by heaven and earth. And so I'm blessing each individual here, those individuals that will tune in later to listen to the recording, knowing that truly all of our needs are met. And so we just continue to engage in this journey of unfolding, knowing that life, that the universe truly is conspiring on our behalf. Grateful and thankful for today. I release this word by saying, and so it is. Amen. Peace and blessings, everybody. Thank you so much.
Peace and blessings.
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you so much.
Has stopped. This meeting is being recorded.
Roses on your pillow.
Have a great week.
Have a great night. See you next.
Night.
Thank you.
Well.